Yeah, really excited about the guys we were able to add today. Obviously, for us, it was a best available type situation. When you get into it as late as we have, you're trying to make sure that you get a chance to evaluate the character of the guys, make sure that they fit where you want your culture to be. I always say, especially for us, this February signing date was a really good indication for our players of what we're looking for. And I think the players that are on your current roster always look at who you've signed and who you're bringing in to say, this is what his expectation is as a coach. So you got to be really careful. You got to make sure that you're signing the right type of character players. That you have a chance to do all the background and research you can and make sure they'd be really good culture fits for us. So I think all of these guys fit that mold. Obviously, speed was something that we wanted to go after heavily, and I think we hit home runs with those. And obviously the three guys for us that are already here and enrolled with Osborne, Faison, Walden, and Bima were great additions for us as well, and have been everything we hoped they would be and more. So exciting day, and it never stops. So now you're on to 2020 guys, and I can't say enough about what the response has been from high school coaches around Charlotte and around the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. Our staff has had a lot of fun getting a chance to meet those guys, to develop relationships with them, and we look forward to that to continuing and for this to be a place that those high school coaches frequent and want to send players. So excited about today, and I think our staff did a great job of piecing some things together and making sure we got really good quality people and great football players in this program. I think it definitely helps him being here. He's got the physical attributes that you would look for a guy that would be, ready to play right away. Mentally at that position at linebacker for us, it's a very instinctive position. And it's a lot based on how quickly he could obtain and utilize the knowledge that we give him, and be able to get a feel for our defense. So I think he's got all the physical tools to be able to do it. You want to make sure he's ready to do it mentally. I've had times in the past where you put guys in situations early and they're not ready, and it doesn't help them down the road. So I think those would be decisions we would try to make in fall camp, not necessarily even in the spring, but we'll get a great feel for them as we go through spring practice. Yeah, and even when do you decide to redshirt them? So as I look at it, you say, if you have a guy who's physically ready, but you're not sure how they're going to respond to a game atmosphere, then you're much more apt to playing those guys early, games 1 through 4, the non-conference games, seeing how they respond. If they don't respond the way you want them to, now you can redshirt them the rest of the year. And now vice versa, if you have a guy who you don't know is quite physically ready, then you probably start off by redshirting him and you use him more towards the end of the year. So this whole 4-game redshirt deal has totally thrown a wrench into what your typical thought process would be. Mine would be, I would love to have a bunch of fifth-year seniors on this team. What happens nowadays, too, not just with the 4-game redshirt, but also with the transfer portal, is you're going to have some fifth-year seniors that, they're always going to want to be looking for opportunities to go other places. So it's a catch-22 in a lot of situations. We try to make sure that if we are going to use a guy's freshman year, that he's getting meaningful snaps at his position, not just running down 3 times on special teams, even though that's extremely important. We want to make sure that they're ready to play and they'll get the most out of that year, where it's not something year 4 they'll regret. We always deal with it. Bless you. Everybody wants to play day 1, and then they get to their 4th year and they wish they redshirted. Everybody who gets redshirted is very frustrated day 1. In year 5, they thank you. So we'll try to make the best decision for our team and for the individual, but that's more of a camp decision for us. I think the culture piece is the number one important thing that we're looking for when we're recruiting players. From winning cultures, obviously we're trying to take this program to the next step. So you want guys who understand what it takes to win championships, to they've worked all summer long in the weight room. They've been, developed, and so they know what it's supposed to look like. I think that's important when you're trying to build the program. but also guys that are going to come here and represent this program the way you want it to. I mean, when we're in a situation where we're trying to build on a fan base and we're trying to develop, some support for this program, we have to have guys who are doing the right things and representing this program the right way so people want to pull for them. We cannot have a situation where people say they're just about winning football games, but they don't have high-class character individuals in that program. So huge piece. I'm not a big babysitter. I don't, when I go home on Friday night, I want to spend time with my family, and I don't want to have to worry about the decisions that our players are making. I want to trust them, and so that we try to eliminate a lot of those distractions in recruiting. I think it's huge, and I think you'll even see, as many as we signed this year, I think you'll even see that grow. There were a lot of battles I wish we would have been in on for some guys who are leaving this area now that I hope in the future it will be much more difficult for them to leave. So we're developing those relationships in state. And I think you'll see those numbers continue to grow, but the ones we got, we feel really good about. Obviously Osborne is a big time player coming back home, and I think has created a lot of buzz with his success that he's had here locally. He's obviously a great player that's had a lot of success at Tennessee as well. So he knows what it's supposed to look like, and he's made it. And I use this word a lot. He's made it cool to come play football at Charlotte. When you saw him jump on board, and that created a buzz, and now you're getting a lot more attention. Recruiting locally is something we've hit hard. It's obviously hitting hard for more 2020 guys than it was 2019 guys, because most of those guys had made their decision where they were going by the time we were able to get to them. But I think that will pay dividends for the class moving forward. That's a great question. The reception was incredible. I think as people got a chance to know our staff, it's going to continue to get better and better. And we saw it as we went in high schools from week 1 to week 3 of this January recruiting period. So, consistency is a big part of it. You can't just go in one time and expect their mindset to totally change. I think that the players around here need to understand what this place has to offer, and as we were able to get around them more and more and talk to their coaches, I think you're seeing that change. We obviously have had a lot of prospects on campus here in the last couple weeks, and but I think the perception is changing. It's not something that's going to change overnight. We obviously have to put a really good product on the field, but the perception also changes with the relationships. And I think the staff that I've been able to hire has done a great job thus far of making sure people take us seriously, and you can see that grow as we've been able to go back and forth to high schools. I think you hire a staff that can relate and that develops relationships. That's exactly the same template that I'm using here. And I watched it with some of the battles that we had with these kids that we signed today, and what else they had going on in recruiting, and we fought some battles. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to recruit versus air. I want to go recruit against players and teams that we're having to beat on Saturdays. If you win in recruiting, you'll win on the field. And for me, it's really important to get players on campus, which is something that we've utilized wherever we've been, whether it's at Chattanooga or at Austin Peay. And when we've been able to get players on campus, we get them to buy into our vision, and then we develop a relationship with them where we make it really hard on them to say no. And I think some of the battles that we fought and may not have won this time, we will win moving forward, because we'll also put a product on the field where these guys want to be a part of it versus just thinking that they have to be visionaries. And so I'm looking forward to when we can walk into a home and people already take us seriously. Well, if I could find a house, I'd be really comfortable. My wife is on me a lot more about that than she is any 4-star. I'm learning something new every day. I think the first 6 months of taking a new job are always a little bit cloudy. You're always you're basically you're trying to figure out where to eat, where to sleep, where to recruit. My GPS has been extremely useful whenever I'm trying to find my ways to get to different high schools, and that will become second nature here moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Monday of next week getting with our players here, and we'll start. I'll have a 15-minute meeting with every player on our roster and get a chance to know them. I'm excited about that. I feel like when you take a job and you go directly on the road, then you kind of you don't get a chance to meet the players on your current roster as much as you would like to. We got to recruit the guys we have here as well, and so I'm looking forward to that process starting Monday. I think they've done a great job in the weight room, and again, about this place, I'm learning something new every day. What resources do we have? How to use our current resources? I'm still trying to finalize the staff, and have had a lot of success doing that. So it's been a little blurry, but every day I seem to try to figure it out. I think the winter conditioning will be really important. We'll get a chance to see our guys move around and see where we may be, where we feel really good about players and where we may be lacking and still need to go find some guys to plug some holes. I think we'll see them respond to some adversity. I think they'll see a little bit of the culture change when we go out there on Tuesday morning and have our first mat drill. We're going to help them understand what our practice is supposed to look like and what type of tempo we use. And, all of it is everybody getting to know one another so that hopefully by the time you get to fall camp, the guys understand what it's supposed to look like, and you're practicing at a high level where you can prepare when it really matters, which is the fall. So I've been very impressed with what type of character individuals we have on this football team. I think we've got strong leadership. I think we've got a really good work ethic. I think our guys are hungry to be successful and to make this program relevant and important. And I look forward to having a chance to get out there on the field with them, and they'll get a chance to see me coach for the first time. That's for people like with me who have ADD, it's great. Season's always changing. Something's always going on. And so now the next season for us is winter conditioning, and that'll prepare us for spring practice. I don't know. I mean, for me, the month of January was Charlotte. And I think the unique part about the head coach is that you can only go into a school one time in a year. So, as an FCS head coach, you could go as many times as you wanted to. Well, as an FBS coach, you can only go once a year, and you can't go any during the spring. So you really have to rely on the coaches that you've hired to develop those same type of relationships and make sure that they're able to share your message with these high school coaches. They've done a great job. I've gotten great responses from high school coaches across the state of North Carolina and South Carolina about what type of job our coaches have done, and that doesn't surprise me. But I've been to a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. There's some great high school prospects and great high school coaches across these two states, and we look forward to making sure that they know we're accessible, we're open to them, and that we run a really good program where they could feel good about sending their kids.